How many quarterbacks in the NFL right now could run this offense better than Brock? He's a pretty good fit.
Yeah. I mean, I think you just got to look at the guys that are for sure obvious, right? I mean, Mahomes, Josh Allen,
Yes.
big
Yes.
time guys with big time arms that could make all kinds of throws. For sure, those two guys. And then it's kind of like beauty's in the eye of the beholder. I'd probably put Lamar in there because I think Lamar has that same kind of it would be a different look because you would use him more just on runs, especially in short yardage to kind of keep the offense on the field. But I think Lamar would be really good. I think Jalen Hurts would be really good. And then there's the three young guns like Lawrence, Herbert, and Burrow. And, Burrow's cold right now, but he's a total stone cold winner. Herbert is got maybe the physical prototype, and yet, he's kind of 500 career and he's not winning all the time. Lawrence, is maybe one of the greatest quarterback prospects the league's ever seen. So I got to think that for sure, Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, and Hurts, I would say those four, and quite possibly Lawrence, Herbert, and Burrow. So I would say those seven. I say I would throw Brock in around 8. And maybe, if you obviously Stafford is incredible still, so maybe you go Stafford in there, even though he's an older guy. And then Tua's been really hot. That's the other guy that a lot of people like on the list. I mean, you could say Jared Goff on the right day really looks good. And you don't have to be super mobile. You got to be able to make plays. Efficient thrower from the pocket. Who?
Goff would look pretty good on this team.
Yeah, I think Goff would not be a bad call. I mean, definitely Stafford. I mean, some people, you could make an argument for the veteran crew, guys like Kirk Cousins. Russell Wilson.
And Russell Wilson. Yeah, what about those two?
Yeah, I mean, those guys, I think definitely you can make an argument that, but they're not playing as well. Sometimes some of these guys aren't playing as well, and they've got better weapons in the case of Cousins. And then I don't know what to say about Russell. The other guy that's kind of like I don't know is Deshaun Watson, who didn't even play this weekend, but he's committing. He's completing like 55% of his passes and making some kind of odd maneuvers. Some people would argue for Dak. I would say no. I would say Purdy's better than Dak. But I mean, I definitely think there's, I would say 7 to 10. If because that's in this argument, we're not talking about any kind of money or anything like that. So you got to take the guys like Stafford, and Russell's probably a future Hall of Famer. We going to throw Rodgers on the list?
What about Stroud?
Stroud looks really, really good.
He does.
He looks really good.
Okay, so potentially Stroud. So hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So I think it's fair to say that there are maybe 14 quarterbacks who could run this offense as well or better than Brock. It's a hell of an offense with a hell of a coach. Still, that puts Brock in the top half of the league. And I think most people would agree with that, even though he hasn't even started a full season worth of games. It just looks like he really is. He does have a lot of things going for him. He doesn't have the big arm, but neither did Joe Montana. And I'm not comparing him to Joe Montana, but you can't just rule out a guy because he doesn't have the big arm.
Well, and I think the point is, obviously, there's only one Joe Montana, but Brent Jones, who played with Joe Montana, just went on NBC Sports Bay Area's website, and in an article that I read just yesterday, said he reminds him of Joe Montana. I also did an interview. Brent Jones said that.
Nice.
And he's talking
about
that
seriously. Brent Jones is a serious guy.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, more than anything, Grant, that is a freaking eye opener. I mean, because you and I, we can say whatever. Guys like Brent Jones, this guy played with Joe Montana. He's got no reason at all there's no motivation on Brent's part to. Okay, this is the exact quote. I'm going to read it to you. It's unbelievable, actually. 4-time Pro Bowl tight end Brent Jones. I think Brock is a cool customer. And that's really hard for people to appreciate. He's just such a young kid and hasn't had that much experience in the grind of football with all the spotlight, a playoff team, a team that should be in the Super Bowl this year. And that's why, and the way that he just is so cool just reminds me a lot of Joe. Nothing ever fazed Joe. He was relaxed. He was calm in the huddle. Nothing could fluster him. And Brock just seems like he has that same persona.
I agree.
So that's Brent Jones. Now, I did an interview yesterday on 95.7 The Game on the pregame show with Lorenzo Neal with Larry Centers, who played with Tom Brady his final year. They won a Super Bowl together over Carolina. And I said, what do you think of Brock? And he said there's several things about Brock that remind him of Brady. So, these are the best. I mean, this is really, I'm a huge Brock fan. You know that. But this is pretty hard to fathom that we are here. But that's how impressed at least a couple guys are. Brent Jones, Larry Centers, Ronnie Lott was very glowing in his praise of Purdy last week as well.
That's fair. I sort of look at Purdy and Jalen Hurts similarly, and here's why. I feel like both of them are quarterbacks who still have a lot to prove because they're on the best teams in systems that perfectly fit them. Like, wouldn't you say Philly's system is a perfect fit for Jalen Hurts and what he wants to do and what he's good at?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a run. You know what's interesting about it, Grant, is they're both in run-heavy systems, but still have weapons of note to throw to. So, Philly's a run-heavy. If you said, what's Philly doing? They're a run-heavy system, but they have Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, and Dallas Goedert, and yet they're a run-heavy system. The 49ers, I think you would argue, initially run-heavy.
That Jalen Hurts is a better fit for Philly than he is for the 49ers, and that Brock Purdy is a better fit for the 49ers than he is for Philly?
Well, I think at the end of the day, though, they're both trying to do the same thing. Use their legs to avoid rush. They both want to make plays from the pocket. Hurts runs it a little bit more, but maybe that will change over time because he's not like he's Lamar. He's not an elite runner. He's more of a resourceful runner. But Hurts, I think, also gives you something different. Hurts gives you a short yardage option as a ball carrier almost because he's so strong leg-wise that I think there's a little bit of an advantage there. But I'll tell you this, Purdy's accuracy is unbelievable. When he's in rhythm, and yesterday he was in full rhythm from the start of the game, his accuracy on the short and intermediate stuff, which is most of the stuff that Kyle's dialing up these days, is on point with him. He looks very accurate, like well at the top of the scale accuracy.
Is that both he and Hurts are fortunate to be in the perfect offenses for them with really good talent around them and really good coaches. That doesn't mean they're not the real deal, but I still have questions about Jalen Hurts. You're on the best team with the best offensive line. The system's perfect for you. What's going to happen down the line? I guess I still have those questions with Brock, but right now at his price point on this team with this supporting cast, I mean, he's really good. You could say he is a perfect fit.
Jalen Hurts, though, Grant, and I think is a great comp because these guys, I mean, I did the whole deep dive in the playoffs. They have like about 50 identical characteristics. I mean, from they're both, the conviction with their faith. They're both the exact same size, hand size, everything. Brock's got a faster 10-yard split. Hurts has got a faster 40-yard time. But they're both right around 6 feet, 225 pounds. They're both these like quiet, humble leaders that the guys really love and play hard for. They're respected in the room, but they're not rah-rah guys. I mean, there's so many traits that Jalen Hurts and Brock Purdy are very similar. I think it's going to be awesome to watch these guys battle it out for the NFC for the next 5 or 6 years.
Marks the Boss 3 says, keep up the great work, fellas. He's been a member for 24 months. Thank you, Marks the Boss.